Hello, hello, and welcome to today's call. I would love to talk to you about GLA, gamma-linolenic acid. I know it sounds kind of techy and not particularly exciting, but actually stay with me because it's actually a lot more amazing and beneficial than you think it is. So we're going to be talking about that. I just want to make sure I have my microphone is the right microphone at it. No, it's not. So let me just switch over. Hopefully that works. Kamalani, let me know if you can hear me okay. All right. And so you know what? It sounds like, okay, gamma-linolenic acid might sound like something from a lab, but actually many of you are already familiar with it because you have used or been told about something like Evening Primrose Oil, right? So who here has heard about or tried Evening Primrose Oil? I'm curious. And so, one of the things that's really quite amazing about GLA is just how many benefits it has, especially when it comes to being a painkiller. And so painkiller in terms of applying that when we have painful breasts this time of the month, in terms of PMS. And so I'm wondering who here has actually used it and how did it help you? Because that's a bigger question here as well. Many of you are saying that you've tried it. Some people have not tried it but heard of it. Yeah. So it's kind of funny because we think of a lot of people know Evening Primrose Oil as being the where the efficacy comes from, but actually the gamma-linolenic acid is what the magical active compound is. That is a natural painkiller. However, you can find a much higher concentration and content of GLA, not in the Evening Primrose Oil, but actually in Borage Oil. So that's what I want to talk to you today about, that Borage Oil that's right here in this soft gel that I'm showing. So let's talk a little bit about it because, I will admit that for the longest time, GLA and Borage Oil, or Evening Primrose Oil for that matter, has been a little bit like my blind spot. I think we all have little blind spots, meaning that there's something that we don't pay attention to until we realize how amazing it is. And for me, I actually just corrected, and so, which is good because I actually do want to show you the consistency of an oil and what's in it. So let's talk a little bit about what's so amazing about GLA. So whether you're getting your GLA from Primrose Oil, Evening Primrose Oil, or whether it's from Borage Oil, we prefer, at Wellena, we use Borage Oil just because of the concentration is 2 to 3 times higher as compared to Evening Primrose Oil. So I feel like for every ounce, or not ounce, but milligram of that oil, you're just getting a lot more GLA concentration. So you're getting more bang for your buck. And so let's talk a little bit about the benefits of GLA. So for those of you who've used it before, what have you noticed? And how has it helped you? So the reason why GLA kind of resurfaced my consciousness and was put back on my map for, in my case, is because we are currently working on a breast formula, and it's a little bit of a secret. So I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a few months. And it's going to be a formula that is going to help women basically with painful breast, fibrocystic breast. And it's an unusual formula, and it's a 2-step process and the 2-step thing. But I think it's going to really work. Our initial test with a number of subjects who suffer from a lot of very painful breasts. And when I say painful breasts, we were basically working with girls who can't even put on a bra. This time of the month, it hurts so badly. Women who can't do sports just before their periods because their breasts are just so painful. Women who can't sleep on their side or their tummy because the breasts are so painful. So I'm talking about that kind of sensitivity. And we started researching, obviously, as we always do for new formulations, we research a lot of different ingredients. And one of the things that we discovered, well, not discovered, but it was put on my map of awareness, was GLA and how amazing it was. And as part of testing the product, we've asked a number of the participants in our study, if you will, to just use the GLA oil on their breast when they're at the worst of their pain. And amazingly, without anything else added, because mind you, the formula actually is going to have a lot of other things that are amazing added too, just without anything else added to it, any other herbs, no other oils, no other essential oils, just GLA itself has helped them to reduce their breast pain by about 40 to 60%, depending on a person. And it was so immediate within 20 minutes or so. So so we tested it also internally, as in taking this. So, a capsule like this is something that you take, right? However, you can open this capsule and you can also use it externally on your skin, as well as of the plates, a point of pain. So point of pain would be, for those of you who are going through terrible periods, interestingly, women who are going through perimenopause, a lot of the time your period actually gets worse before it dies down. So who here is kind of entering perimenopause, and it when your second part of the cycle gets shorter because your progesterone starts dropping. So instead of being, let's say, the regular 28 days, you're now down to like 22 days, 21 days. And then you feel like your PMS has actually been worse than before. I certainly feel like it's been worse, except that I know how to manage it. But Katie saying on Instagram, Mimi, yeah, I also noticed that if I don't use my supplements for estrogen detoxification, the ones that I always talk about in the estrogen reset kit, my period is from hell. And I ran out of supplements when I was in Poland over Christmas and New Year. And when I got back, I got my period. It wasn't pretty. So here's GLA, applicable both externally and internally, is an amazing painkiller. And the reason why I love it is because instead of relying on something like Tylenol, and all the painkillers, the conventional painkillers, have an effect on your digestive health, your microbiome, but also can have an effect on your kidney. So depending on which one you're taking. Something like a GLA does not have the kind of side effects at all because it's just an oil without any side effects. The magic happens because of something called prostaglandin that it has an impact on. So for those of you who are a little bit like, hey, what's the science behind it? It's really pretty straightforward. There is prostaglandins 1 and 3 that are anti-inflammatory, and we want to activate those. And there are prostaglandins that are inflammatory, the PG2. And guess what? Something like this little oil here from, in this case here, I'm talking about borage oil can help, borage seed oil can help with reducing that pain. And whether you take it internally or you apply it externally, both would work. If you want to have like we call it 1 + 1 = 5 effect, you can take it internally, but also apply it on your tummy. So I want to just show you, I already cracked it open. So as you can see here, the oil is coming out, right? And it's just nice, clear oil. There is nothing much to it. It's like, it could be olive oil and then basically, and then you apply it in a point of where the pain is. So for example, if you're having PMS and your abdomen is really hurting, then you just apply it on it's got a nice sort of like smell like a seed. It's nothing more to it. And it's pure. It's a non-GMO oil that we are using from Borage. So you can also apply it on your breast because that's the other thing that I mentioned. We were testing it with our subjects, and it was very helpful just to apply it externally. And I've tested it on myself as well, and I felt like probably 30% of my pain and sensitivity around the breast got reduced just by applying it externally. Of course, you can take it internally. The recommended dose is 240 milligrams of GLA. And is this something that we are currently selling? Yes, in fact, it is in our store. It's called GLA Maximus. You can get it at the Wellena store, wellena.com. And I think that's something really nice for you to consider. So let's talk a little bit about what else can it help with. Let me just get into a couple of questions, actually. Does it balance out too much estrogen? Karen is asking on Facebook. So not entirely. So Karen, the part about balancing out estrogen, and I'm glad you're asking about balancing out rather than just like kill the estrogen, right? Because we want sufficient levels of estrogen. is just, what we always talk about at Hormones Balance is how we break down those estrogens to a clean river and a dirty river, right? It's where the matter is. And the dirty estrogens was causing a lot of the estrogen dominant symptoms. So does it help with the breakdown? No, it doesn't. What helps with how you break out estrogens to clean and dirty estrogens is through metabolism of estrogen. And this is another set of supplements that I've often talked about on our lives before, which is DIM, sulforaphane, and calcium D-glucarate. And we have that in our store, something called Estrogen Reset Kit. And that's going to be helping you to balance out estrogens in a great way. Let's move on to Camille's question, which says, Camille is asking, does it work for teens who have bad periods? Yes, as a painkiller, GLA will work for a pain. In fact, it does a really wonderful job at that. Where it doesn't help is, like I explained, you also want to address estrogen dominance as a cause of painful periods. And so think of this like something like a GLA. It's a little bit like a much healthier Tylenol, right? Versus if you want to address the root cause of a problem, then what happens is you would want to consider the Estrogen Reset Kit that we have in our store. That's the one that's going to help a person metabolize estrogen more towards the clean estrogens rather than the dirty ones. So let's talk about a few other benefits, because there are more to that, not just supporting pain. The second benefit for GLA Maximus is the fact that it's amazing at helping you with your skin quality and hair quality. So how many of you here, I think we attract quite much the audience of women who are in perimenopause, menopausal ladies, right? And so how many of you here have been feeling like your hair and your skin is just not the same anymore, like what it used to be in your 20s and 30s? And I'm not talking about just like wrinkles, but it's also, I'm talking about more like also like maybe issues with a bit more dryness, like you feel like your skin is not as subtle as it used to be. And so it is perfectly normal. I want to assure you of that. And part of the reason is that when we have estrogen, when we go into perimenopause and menopause, our estrogen starts dropping. Estrogen is actually really quite a fascinating hormone. We demonize it in many ways and saying like, oh, I have estrogen dominance, then I have to suppress estrogen. And a lot of like Western medicine, for example, deals with, for example, women who have breast cancer or who are having extremely painful periods are put on things like estrogen blockers, estrogen receptor blockers. And the thing is that you're not only blocking the receptors in a specific tissue, but it overall blocks it everywhere. But at the same time, estrogen has a role to play. So talking about the skin, there are oil deposits that get basically released into the skin. And estrogen is one of the hormones that communicates with those pores of when to release oil. And so when our estrogen starts dropping, that's part of the reason why a lot of women are beginning to feel like their skin is a lot drier, the wrinkles beginning to come out, the skin starts to sag a little bit more as we start aging. And so one of the amazing things about borage oil, or GLA specifically, Gamma-Linolenic Acid, is that it supports to recreate and bring back that healthy, glowy skin back in again. It does not increase estrogen levels itself, but what it does is it helps to start releasing its natural oils into the skin so that you get much nicer, healthier skin. As many of you know, especially for those of you who suffered from thyroid conditions, there's a big connection between your skin and your hair is very interconnected. That's why a lot of people who are women who are having skin problems, they also tend to have very poor, have issues with their hair, whether it's hair loss, thinning of a hair, right? And so I'm not talking here about the thyroid. I'm just saying that there's oftentimes you see both skin and hair suffer. And so with low estrogen, as we're entering perimenopause and menopause, it is also the same story happens, is that low estrogen is causing poor quality hair and skin. And one of the amazing things that GLA can help with is to restore high quality skin. Okay. I certainly felt it. I feel it more so in my hair than on my skin. I don't really have so much skin issues. For me, it's always been my hair. That's part of the reason, a big secret here to be made public. part of the reason why I cut my hair. For those of you remember, I used to have long hair, and I felt like ever since I turned 45, my hair just became thinner. And no matter what I was doing, even though overall I'm really healthy, and I have, I just went to get that's a side story. I just came from Poland. My father has colon cancer and is metastasized, and so it turned out that my whole family has got a real issue with colon cancer, something I didn't know. So I just went to see a doctor, and he would not give me a colonoscopy referral until he get a whole lab work of stuff done. We did a whole lab work, and he was like, "Wow, I've never seen a healthy person like that who's 49." So I was really happy to hear that. It was, but anyway, so so hair, even though I'm generally really healthy, my hair has been thinning. I am going to be testing it and see whether GLA is going to help me restore my quality of hair, whether I can get that back on track. But, who knows? We have to be seen. I think hair depends also a lot of other things, including having sufficient estrogen levels. So I want to just, for the fun of it, show you guys what borage looks like. So on Instagram, you guys, I can't do that. But if you want to just pull out your browser and enter borage flower, that's what the flower looks like, except that the oil itself that we are using, for example, in a capsule here, the oil itself comes from the seed and not from the flower. Okay, so other benefits of GLA is, so we talked about, you guys, so we talked about how it helps with your skin, it helps with your hair, it can help with pain, it can both help with the pain of your uterus, so during PMS, as well as breast, right? So for those of you who are suffering from a lot of breast issues, I think that could be a really sweet thing to add on there. Let's take a look. So other things that I want to just mention about GLA is, one of the things that we found is like, okay, it's it helps supposedly with weight loss, right? And it's in the article that we just published on our blog. And Kamalani, if we can just maybe pop the blog, that would be awesome. The thing is that, I kind of have a challenge with the kind of claims that supports weight loss, because weight loss is so complex and has got so many things that it depends on. And so there are some studies there that show how obese people GLA can help them. I think it's because GLA innately, because it reduces the inflammation overall in the body. It helps, anybody who's inflamed is going to put on weight, most of people, right? But inflammation is also a cause of so many other things. So that's why I think that they found the connection. But to say that GLA promotes weight loss, I think it's an overstatement, and I don't want to mislead anyone to that, because if you are having thyroid issues, if you're having hormonal issues, if you have toxicity issues, cortisol, high cortisol levels, thyroid low thyroid, etc., you're eating in a certain way, then this is not gonna help. So let's see what else. There's also a study that we have found that it slows hair loss, so that could be a really interesting one that we talked about. When it comes to hair quality, and hair loss as well can be slowed down. So something that, hello perimenopause, right? Okay, so let me take a few questions, and there's questions about migraines. I have not found anything on migraines and GLA, so you might want to, there's no harm trying and just see whether it works for you. It depends on what migraines and headaches, what are they caused by. We have a whole article, Maria, on migraines. If you go to hormonesbalance.com, you can take a look, just enter migraines and headaches and see what are the different causes. I think uncovering the root cause of a migraine is more important than just looking at a supplement. So just super quickly on that, because I used to deal with a lot of migraines back in the day when I was in my late 20s. And the main reason for me was actually food sensitivities, and namely gluten was causing my migraines. I had such bad migraines that I would not, if I left the house without a painkiller in my handbag, I would get heart palpitations because they were so debilitating. I couldn't look at lights. could move my head like this because it was I just felt like I had a wall of bricks was hitting me every time I moved my head like that. So it was pretty severe. So food sensitivities, low magnesium, low potassium, low sulfur are some of the reasons why you have headaches, and I would suggest to uncover those first before looking at just a supplement alone. Let's see, I'm looking at Instagram. Sherry's asking, will the estrogen reset kit also help with serious thyroid abnormalities and have had menopause since neck broken at age 39? Ooh, having high blood pressure. Yeah, so estrogen reset kit helps with estrogen detoxification. When it comes to when you say serious thyroid abnormalities, you're gonna get your thyroid checked out, rule out Hashimoto's disease, and so estrogen dominance helps to convert T4 to T3 hormone. That way it does help, but it doesn't help with the autoimmune component of it. So if you have Hashimoto's disease, you need to address your gut health and get on the highly anti-inflammatory diet and stuff like that to address it. High blood pressure typically comes from a lot of stress, your diet, not salt alone. Hey, you guys, we have an article that we posted a month ago. There was quite a revelation for a lot of you. I know that they talked about how high blood pressure isn't just from salt and sodium, but it's actually in combination with fructose that you experience high blood pressure. So the fructose really is the culprit. And it makes total sense if you think about it, because we've been eating salt for a long time, for generations, and nobody had high blood pressure. So so something to think about. So Sherry, you've got some work to do there. Experience cystic acne since menopause, will GLA help? So no, I wouldn't say that alone that it would help. Cystic acne, again, is due to food sensitivities. I also had cystic acne in my late 20s, and I would still have cystic acne if I didn't address it. Food sensitivities are the major cause of cystic acne. And so here we're talking about gluten, dairy, soy, corn. In my case, eggs were a huge reason why that was happening. The other common reason cystic acne is high testosterone levels, and that typically is caused by high blood sugar levels. So addressing those will help you with your acne. And I think we do have an acne article on our blog. Tony's asking, would GLA be good for women with complete hysterectomy? Absolutely, yes. Yes, it would. It works with all the tissues, not just breast or uterus. Let's see. Is estrogen reset kit okay with high blood pressure? Yes, it is. Okay, and then let's see if there's any questions on the Facebook side of things. I think we've answered most of them already. So Pam is asking, does GLA have any effects on bone density during menopause? No, it does not. And if you want to look at bone density, we also have an article on our blog. How was it really interesting post, actually? Let me just share with you on our Hormone Thrivers page, which is like a closed community page. And any one of you here who ever bought anything from us, or you are on our mailing list, we invite you to Hormone Thrivers. It's a private Facebook group, super engaged, very fun group of women. And somebody was just saying, kudos to her. She wants to make her own plant-based milk. So like seed milks, nut milks, and she wants to make them at home without buying them. I applaud her for doing that. And she said, should I add calcium to it, right? And so I asked her, why would you want to add calcium to it? And that's the whole, I think it's like the baby boomer generation X. We grew up conditioned that milk contains calcium. That's the only source of calcium that you can have for your bones, which could not be further from truth. And for one, if you just want to think of it this way, sure, you need calcium, but does it have to come from milk? And the answer is absolutely not. Your calcium can come from green leafy vegetables, eating sardines with bone in them. Bone broth can also be wonderful sources of calcium. Think of it this way. Cows do not drink milk, yet they have very, very strong bones just by eating grass, right? So something to think about. You don't really need dairy. It's a dairy industry thing that's being created. And I think as baby boomer generation X, is going to be very difficult for us to shake it off. So anyway, so bone density, there's a whole article we wrote about that. And calcium, yes, is one of the one of the minerals that's needed. But in order for calcium to get deposited into the bone, you also need things like magnesium, vitamin D3, vitamin K2, boron, manganese, and as well as sufficient estrogen levels and sufficient progesterone. So it's a whole combo of things. Bone management it isn't just about popping a lot of calcium supplement to it. So just something to be mindful of. All right, Kamalani, what else do we have here? Okay. Anita is saying, are they all created equal GLA oil if we can't purchase from your store in Canada? Here, you can recommend a brand here in Canada. So I can't recommend brands because I don't know what's available in Canada. But Anita, I think your best bet is going to be looking for non-GMO borage seed oil if you want the highest concentration of GLA. And if you can't find borage oil, you can also use Evening Primrose Oil that is either organic or non-GMO. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Let me just take a quick look at Instagram and see if there's anything else happening here. So for those of you who are joining a little bit late, just one more question. Eva is asking, just want to ask about liver. Does GLA affect it? No, it does not. So not at all. And so for those of you who are joining a bit late, I've been talking about GLA, Gamma-Linolenic Acid, that's derived from borage seed oil, not Evening Primrose Oil, that has got higher efficacy, higher concentration of GLA, a really amazing oil that I got a lot of appreciation of lately as being an incredible painkiller and a substance that reduces pain on breast, the uterus, also helps you to restore healthy skin, healthy hair. So pretty a magical oil that you're going to find more of in our new upcoming product. That's only going to be in September, unfortunately, because everybody's been having supply chain problems. It used to take us 6 to 8 weeks to produce a product, and now it's taking us 6 months to produce a product. So things are not pretty, but hopefully with COVID kind of, I think, changing the trajectory a little bit, it's gonna be a really good time to normalize our lives again. All right, everybody, thanks so much for all your questions. I hope this was helpful. GLA, another really magical compound to explore, and I will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.